Kia ora Year 9. This is the second video where I go through some hard equations with fractions in them. So in the last video we got through these warm-up ones and then the first three of the harder fractions equations. And the fractions equations that I did last night were ones where we had this pattern. So we had a fraction plus another fraction. Okay, so this one we had a fraction plus another fraction, and so the idea there was that we got a common denominator. So the ones I'm going to look at now are slightly different, but as long as we work logically, they're going to be fine as well. So we'll just see how many I get through in around 10 minutes, because I've got a Google Meet at 10:30. So let's see how we get on. Right, let's start with this one here. So we've got 4 times x plus 1 over 2 is equal to 4 plus 3x. So with these ones, we don't really have to think about getting a common denominator. What we can think of instead is that as long as I do the same thing to both sides of the equation, everything works out fine. And so if I just multiply both sides through by the same thing, by 2, then I can go from there. However, in this particular example, there's an even easier first step than that one. So if we look at this to start off with, we can see that we've got 4 times x plus 1 divided by 2. Now 4 divided by 2 is just 2, so we can simplify the left-hand side in here to 2 times x plus 1 is equal to 4 plus 3x. And now we've got a pretty straightforward x on both sides equation. So 2x plus 2 is equal to 4 plus 3x. I think that's right. And then we have, going from here, we're going to take 2x off both sides. So 2 is equal to 4 plus x, right? So what have I done here? Well, I've just subtracted 2x from both sides. And next, I'm going to, I've got 2 equals 4 plus x. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And that gives me negative 2 is equal to x. So that one's done. Okay, so that's because before I jumped in and started doing things, I had a look and I could see that I had a common factor here. I'm going to do that one now, assuming that we hadn't stopped and looked, and I'll start working on a blank page. So if we've got 4 times x plus 1 over 2 is equal to 4 plus 3x, and we don't spot this efficient strategy that we've got the 4 and the 2, what we can say is that I can times both sides through by the same thing. So if I multiply both sides through by 2, I'm left with 4 times x plus 1 is equal to 2 times 4 plus 3x. Expanding that gives me 4x plus 4 is equal to 8 plus 6x. Subtracting the 4x from both sides now gives me 4 equals 8 plus 2x. And now I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Remember, when I'm working with x on both sides, I want to get numbers to one side and x's to the other side. Right? So in this one here, we're going to have negative 4 is equal to 2x. The last step is going to be to divide by negative 2. To divide by positive 2. Divide by 2, and we get negative 2 is equal to x. Right, obviously exactly the same as we got when we did it the more efficient way. Okay, so just looking at the next couple of equations that we're going to solve, I'm going to now do these ones here, this one, and this one. So you might want to pause the video and have a go before I go through them. Okay, so question 2, negative 4 times x plus 1 over 3 is equal to 7 minus 2x. I'm going to multiply both sides through by 3. That gives me negative 4 times x plus 1 is equal to 3 times 7 minus 2x. Negative 4x minus 4 is equal to 21 minus 6x. Right, next I'm going to add 6x to both sides. That gives me 2x minus 4 equals 21. And now I'm going to add 4 to both sides. 2x is equal to 25, giving me a final answer of x is equal to 25 divided by 2. Okay, equation 3. We've got negative 5 times x minus 1 divided by 4 is equal to 3x minus 1. We're going to times both sides through by 4. Remember that I can think of this as having invisible brackets around it. So we get negative 5 times x minus 1 is equal to 4 times 3x minus 1. That gives us negative 5x plus 5, right? Just remember we're expanding by multiplying through by negative 5 is equal to 12x minus 4, which gives me, I'm going to add 5x to both sides. 5 is equal to 17x minus 4. 9 is equal to 17x. X is equal to 9 over 17. Right, on to equation 4. A little bit different this time. So let's look at two ways we can do this one. Well, we need to be careful here because if we want to multiply through by 4, we have to make sure we multiply everything through by 4. So one way to do this is to subtract 1 from both sides before we get started. Right, so that's going to leave me with 3x minus 1. And now we can think of this being all together, and we can have 5x minus 1 equals 4 times 3x minus 1. Now we expand them out. 5x minus 5 is equal to 12x minus 4. Negative 5 is equal to 7x minus 4. Negative 1 is equal to 7x. X is equal to negative 1/7. Right, so that's one way to do it. So that was doing a little bit of rearranging here first. Let's look now at another way to do it. So one of the things we really want you to build up over the next couple of years with your algebra is fluency and having lots of different ways to solve problems. So in this case, as long as I times every single thing by 4, I haven't changed it, right? So we're going to multiply this side by 4, and we're going to multiply this side by 4. So when I multiply this by 4, we're left with just 5 times x minus 1. When I multiply this by 4, I have now plus 4. And when I multiply this by 4, I have 12x. So that gives me 5x minus 5 plus 4 is equal to 12x. 5x minus 1 equals 12x. Negative 1 is equal to 7x. That gives us x is equal to negative 1/7. Okay, so just look at those two methods and see that really it's just that we're doing things in a slightly different order, but in both cases we're doing the same thing to both sides. So in this case up here, I'm subtracting 1 from both sides, right? So here, 1 take away 1 leaves me with 0, and we get 0 take away 1 over here. And down here, we're doing the same thing to both sides, but the thing that we're doing is that we're multiplying everything through by 4. Okay, so I have to go jump on this Google Meet with my class now. So I'm going to stop the video there and upload it. I will promise I'll do a part 3 and do the other examples later on today. Thank you for watching.